All right. Not quite sure how to do all this, but we'll figure it out as we go. Share my screen. Sharing the real me. Sharing with others keeps us from feeling isolated and alone. Intimacy is the sharing of our innermost thoughts and feelings with another human being. Many of us long for the warmth and companionship intimacy brings, but those things don't come without effort. In our addiction, we learn to guard ourselves from others lest they threaten our using. In recovery, we learn to trust others. Intimacy requires us to lower our defenses. To the closeness intimacy brings, we must allow others to get close to the real us. If we are to share our innermost self with others, we must first have an idea what those innermost selves are truly like. We regularly examine our lives to find out who we are, what we really want, and how to really feel. Then, based on our regular inventories of ourselves, we must be as completely and consistently honest with our friends as we can be. Intimacy is a part of life, therefore, a part of living clean, and intimacy, like everything in recovery, has its price. The painstaking self scrutiny intimacy calls for can be hard work, and the total honesty of intimacy brings its own complications. But the freedom from isolation and loneliness that intimacy brings is well worth the effort. Just for today, I seek the freedom from isolation and loneliness that intimacy brings. Today, I will get to know the real me by taking a personal inventory, and I will practice being completely honest with another person. Cool. Surprised I got that all figured out. If we can pause. When Forgiveness Seems Impossible by Tim Jackson. Recently, I received a disturbing letter. The writer said, Satan keeps me agitated with evil, vengeful thoughts toward my family. I suffered emotional abuse through all the years I was growing up and into young adulthood until I was married. It was horrible at times. I carried the stigma of my parents' hate and jealousy. I was constantly criticized for everything I did. I was never encouraged. To this day, I wake up with nightmares of getting revenge. If I'm a good Christian, shouldn't I be able to, after all these years, to forgive them and be free from this awful pain? How can I learn to forgive so that I don't feel this anger whenever I am around them? Please help me. The writer is not alone in her struggles with forgiveness. I know a man whose wife had an affair, but who cannot find it within himself to forgive her for betraying his trust. He tries to save the ruptured relationship, but fear, distrust, and rage repeatedly undermine his efforts. Then there is the person who gossips behind your back. A personal struggle you shared with him in confidence has now become a juicy morsel whispered. First you hurt, then betrayed, and then angry. Across neighborhood telephone lines and office break room tables, first you feel the hurt, then betrayed, and then angry. The wound is as painful as being stabbed. Then you start to feel vengeful. A trusted person was hurt, and now you will find some way to make him pay. For the harm he has done to you, forgiveness is the furthest thing from your mind. So, what does it mean to forgive? What comes to your mind when you think of the word forgiveness? Forgetting, no more pain, no more anger, letting bygones be bygones, letting someone off the hook, unfairness, injustice. Let me say at the start that I believe forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood doctrines of the Christian life. Many believe that forgiveness requires us to unconditionally release others from past wrongs. They assume that we have to forgive in order to love. Others have adopted, I forgive you for my own sake attitude that advocates forgiveness as a means of releasing ourselves from the cancer of bitterness and the fire of anger. In many ways, forgiveness is therefore seen as an unconditional offering of pardon that says, no matter what you've done to me, I forgive you. The results of unconditional forgiveness, however, are not as positive as many would believe. One shudders to think of a wife offering forgiveness to an unrepentant alcoholic husband who has privately beaten her and publicly humiliated her with his sex affairs. Is such forgiveness the kind of love her husband needs? Is it the best interest for her to release him from accountability for shameless violations of their marital vows? I believe that the scripture teaches that whether or not we should forgive depends on our answer to the question, what does Christ-like love require? The answer in turn, it depends on circumstances in which we are asking the question. Sometimes love forgives us to say, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. Sometimes love requires us to forgive again and again. In Matthew 18:21 through 22. And sometimes love requires us to withhold forgiveness for the sake of the one who has harmed us. Thanks for watching.